Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session about the undergrad program at Hult International Business School. It's great to see some of you coming already on this Saturday morning. So good to see some early risers just like me. As we wait for a couple more minutes for more people to join, why don't you go ahead and put on the chat where you're coming from and how many countries you have been to? Because as you see, Hult is a very international university, and we want to see if you're already among ourselves. Let me introduce myself. My name is Cristina Cono. I am originally from Spain, from Bilbao, and I am a graduate from Hult International Business School. In 2017, I moved from Spain all the way to London to start my BBA, my Bachelor in Business Administration, and I have been in here ever since. It was a great experience, and what I aim to do today is to introduce to you Hult, our bachelor program, and also to bring as much of my experience as I can so that you not only get to know our university, but you get to experience, even if for a little while, what it is actually like to be a student at Hult. To answer my own very question of how many countries I've been to, I actually made a count yesterday and I've been to 21, which is a surprising number. I didn't know I had been to so many places, and it just proves once again how international Hult students are and what can lay ahead of you if you do join us on campus. So for those of you that don't know what Hult International Business School is, Hult is a business school, an American university, and Hult is a very different type of business school. I'd like to introduce you first a little bit of our history so that you get to understand why our university is different in itself, but who better to explain that to you than actually our very own founder. So let's get him speak to you. Of course, if technology allows.
Hult started 50 years ago. His base idea was that there was a better way to learn than just through books. We believe that experiential learning is just a better way to learn. Over the years, Bertel noticed that the world was getting more and more interconnected, and he thought that traditional business weren't necessarily keeping up. It was too theoretical. People weren't learning through doing, and we saw an opportunity to create a different kind of business school, which was more practical, focused on what real companies need.
We wanted to create a business school to change the way people are educated, so that students learn by doing. That's why we started. Because success in business today is as much about understanding globalization and culture as it is about understanding finance and marketing. But business school in general weren't helping the students keep up with how quickly things were changing. We believe the world needed a practical school to educate not just leaders of business, but leaders of the world. And that's why Hult International Business School was born. Since 2003, when Hult welcomed its first class here in Cambridge, Hult has been a different kind of business school. Hult's an independent, not-for-profit, and we emphasize innovation, entrepreneurial thinking, and practical learning. Our goal is that students apply real lessons from real companies. Today, Hult has six campuses around the world. But it's not the campuses that make Hult global. It's the students. They come from over 150 nationalities, and they speak more than 100 languages. They bring their diverse perspective together to solve the most pressing issues facing business today. And in the process, they learn to think differently about the possibilities of the future.
I graduate tomorrow, and I know that I have developed the skill set that I need to be able to negotiate.
Studying business at Hult is very practical and hands-on because you get to work on real-life consulting projects.
So what really surprised me when I came to Hult is how close you are to the professors and how much they care about their students' learning.
What stood out for me the most about Hult was the diverse student body and the faculty.
It's kind of having friends all over the world. All my life changed, all of it.
Our family believes in the power of transformative education, and we're really proud to support the Hult International Business School.
So, innovation, entrepreneurial thinking, practical learning, those are just one of the key components that make Hult what it is. And it's actually what has made us become one of the top 1% of business schools in the world, thanks to our Triple Crown, which is a triple accreditation that advocates for the value of our different programs. As I mentioned, Hult is an international business school. As a business school, the only degree that we offer at an undergrad level is our BBA, the Bachelor in Business Administration. So since that is kind of self-explanatory on itself, I'd rather speak about our curriculum at the end of the session and focus first on the other key characteristics that makes Hult a different type of business school. I forgot to mention earlier, but please feel free to interact with us throughout all of the sessions, either through the chat, to tell us about yourself. And also, if you have any questions, any comments whatsoever at all, please use the chat function, because I will make sure that we have plenty of time to answer your questions at the end of the session. I believe that directly answering the questions that you come up with is where I can add the most value to you in order to explain what our university is all about. So keep in mind that all of that function is out there. And of course, you also have the booking system, which you can book a call with us further into the week, and we'll be super happy to also have a one-on-one conversation with you. So having said that, based on my experience, Hult is a different type of business school and just overall a different type of university for many, many reasons, but I've put them down to 3. And the first one is because Hult, as our name says, is an international school. I mentioned that I am from Spain. I've been to many countries, which I know I'm very lucky to have been, and I have friends now from all over the world. And that is because Hult International Business School has over 150 different nationalities represented in the student body, meaning that during my time at Hult, I had friends from Germany, from the Dominican Republic, from Colombia, Australia, Liechtenstein, any country in the world that you can think of. Chances are very big that at least we will have one student coming in from that country. But what I think makes Hult a truthful international school is not that we simply have these many nationalities represented in our students, but actually that we keep those nationalities spread evenly within our student body. And why is that? Well, you will see that a lot of universities will claim to be international when they have about 80 to 90% of students coming from one country, and then the remaining 10-20% coming from other countries, which technically does make them international. So they have more than one nationality present. However, in those kinds of environments, you don't get to feel like you are in an international space. That will mean feeling that maybe you're in a too British of a nationality, or maybe too German, too South African, depends on where you are. At Hult, we don't want that. We want you to be able to truthfully explore what it is like to be in a culture, in an environment where everybody comes from a different place. And with coming from a different place, they have different backgrounds, different cultures, different ways of going about life. Because as you will see, if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have, business and just in general, everything that goes around the globe right now is fully globalized and international. It is very likely that you already know someone from a different country. Maybe you have a colleague in class that didn't come from Spain or wherever you're joining us from today. Hult, we do that by maintaining our student diversity. And how do we do that? Well, we put a cap on the maximum amount of students that can represent the same nationality, which is at 9%. Meaning you will never get more than 9% of students coming from Spain, more than 9% of students coming from the UK, from Brazil, from Holland, from wherever else. And what you can see in that pipe in there is actually how our student body is different in nationalities. Each color represents a different country. So you can see, you won't ever feel that you are in a German environment with a couple of friends coming from elsewhere. Now, we're also international when it comes to our professors and when it comes to our staff. As you can see, we have over 45 different countries from where our professors come. During my 3 years at Hult, I had professors from Greece, Malta, Cyprus, Belgium, Italy, the US, the UK. They are just as diverse as the student body is on itself. It really creates this feeling like you're in the UN. But on top of that, it's not only our students, our staff, and our faculty that make our program international. It is actually the fact that we have one global degree, which you can study in 5 different campuses around the globe. Moving transition so is seamlessly between one and another, which is a great opportunity for those of you willing to explore the world. So Where do we have these campuses? We have Boston, London, Shanghai, Dubai, and San Francisco. During the academic year, which is what we consider to be September to May, you can either be in Boston or London. And each year, come back and forth between the one and another. I personally was in the London campus for all of the years, but that does not mean that that could be your reality. You could come into the London campus for your first year, on your second year of your degree, go to Boston, third year, consider whether you like Boston or London more, and then decide if you go back or if you stay. Then over the summer, we allow you to go both to Boston and London, plus Dubai, Shanghai, and San Francisco. I'll talk about the summer courses later, but just for you to know, they're not compulsory. We're not keeping you from enjoying your summer vacations. I personally did rotation to Shanghai when I was on my first year, so that was my first summer, and it was a wonderful experience. Of course, you get to explore a completely new culture and country. I myself had never been in Asia before, while you are accelerating your graduation date by taking those credits in advance. You get to meet new people, new ways of doing, and it's so easy with a rotation program because it basically means that you just need to let the university know that you want to go to one of the other campuses, and they will help you with visa, accommodation, and you never ever have to worry about your classes being valid for your degree if you take them elsewhere, because it's the same university, it's the same program. It just happens to be everywhere in the planet. I like to explain our rotation as being that your next class, instead of being in the classroom in front of you, it's in a classroom that happens to be an ocean away. But that is as hard as rotation can get. And of course, this international perspective is not only put into our campuses and students, but as you take your subjects, as you are in the classroom, all of the topics that you will be exploring will never be US, UK, or any other country-centric. They will have this global perspective to business so that you can have that mindset across the board. Now, Hult is international and Hult is practical. Our teaching approach is learning by doing, meaning you take the theories enough so that you can put them into practice, because it is by doing that you would actually learn. And in the case of business, there is no given way to do anything. So it is by experiencing and putting that knowledge to the test that you can actually know that you are now proficient to become a business person. How does this practicality come across in our classes? Well, first of all, because of class assignments, you will do a lot of practical work. We love to work in teams all the time, and it is not completely unusual that a professor will bring in a company in order for you to work with during a graded class assignment. Because of this, I personally work with SAP, Tata Global Beverages, and with many startups, because my professors brought them into the class and they presented to us a challenge, a business case that we needed to help them with that related to the content of the class. For me, that was fantastic, because business is all about doing, and being able to already consult with real life companies, in many cases very big multinationals, from your very first term, that is something that I've personally found very hard to find in another university in Spain. Hence why Hult came as a very easy choice for me to make when I was deciding on university. But, so what type of other companies have we worked with? Amazon, Ferrari, L'Oreal, Virgin. I know this year they are working with Facebook. We've worked with eBay before. We're talking big brands in here, and it's just super nice to be able to help these companies already with the problems that they have and that they trust us enough to be able to help them. Because remember, as an international student, as a young adult, we bring in fresh and invigorating ideas. So don't ever underestimate your power. Practicality is not only in the classroom. I found that the clubs and societies that we have on our campuses add so much to the overall learning experience and, of course, to your student life. Clubs and societies are fun. They're a great way for you to establish a network. They are a great way for you to explore your interests, develop a new skill, and they really help you enhance your CV. Because remember, we are in a point in which most people graduate with a degree, and that is great. But if everybody is graduating with a degree, what is different about you? What else have you done? And that is when clubs and societies really come in. So just for you to have an idea of the clubs and societies that we have had this particular term in the London campus, we've had, I believe the number is 38 different clubs. That means an incredible diversity on interests and topics that you can explore, and chances are very big that you'll find something that you like. We have African Business and Culture Society, TEDx, real estate. We have the consulting club. We have 2 or 3 different publications that our students run fully on their own. The good thing is, if you did not find something that you would like, you can go ahead and create your own club. Actually, establishing and running your own club, it's an amazing learning experience and of course a lot of fun. So, hey, I don't think there is a book club, and yesterday was book day. It could be you that create the book club in our campus next year. I personally was president of 2 clubs during my last year at Hult 2020, and I can tell the learning that you get out of it should almost be included in the curriculum. Of course, clubs are not like the official part of the curriculum, but in my opinion, they should really be. And if you ever come to Hult and you're not part of at least one club, you're wasting your time, because the clubs are an essential part of it. And as an international practical university, this is where you want to put your focus on. Of course, one of the main things that make part of the Hult DNA is entrepreneurship. Hult is made of entrepreneurial people, be that entrepreneurial in the sense of putting up their own businesses or starting their own projects and just racing up to the challenges, take them as their own and producing something to solve that. So if you're considering starting your own business, maybe you already have one, which would be fantastic. We have an amazing tool for you within our campuses, which is the Hult Founders Lab. The Hult Founders Lab is an in-house incubator. Any of our students with a business idea can enter the program, apply to it. And if you do get in, then you have free mentoring, free resources, and all of the help and support that you need to make sure that you take off that business, launch it, and make it into something successful. Many of our students have started their own businesses during their time at Hult. Many of them go on to leave off after graduation from their businesses, making them their full-time job. I personally never made it into the Founders Lab because I was lacking a business idea, kind of an important point, but I had friends who've been part of the program, and it is just amazing. So if you're an entrepreneur watching right now, you might want to consider the Hult Founders Lab to be your place. And you can actually earn credits for launching your own business through the Founders Lab program, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So Hult is international, Hult is practical, and Hult is supportive. That is what makes Hult a very different type of business school. When it comes to support, Hult just supports you across the board. Supports you on your career journey, it supports you with your mental well-being, it supports you with your academics, it supports you across the board. Let's speak about the career support. We have an amazing careers team that will be there for you from day one when you get into our campuses. You will be allocated a career advisor, and you can meet with your career advisor as often as you want. You can generally meet them once a week if you wanted. I personally did that on my last year. During this time, you can talk to your advisor to kind of find what your professional ideal will be, or also to just go over your CV, your LinkedIn, prepare an interview that might be coming up. On top of this one-to-one advisory, they would also be there to help you with workshops that they would do, panel and guest speakers coming in so that you can learn more about working in a given industry, and of course, a lot of networking sessions where you can try and land your next job or your next internship. On top of that, we have your academic advisor that will help you with your scheduling of the classes, knowing how to navigate your curriculum, and you will have free access to tutors to help you with a class in which maybe you're struggling a little bit more. Free resource for you so that we can support you academically. We also have our student services, who is basically in charge of anything having to do with making sure that the student life at Hult is vibey and engaging, and it truthfully is. What they will do is help with the clubs and societies, and also run a lot of events, from maybe very tiny events to all the way to throw amazing galas at the end of every term, where they rent this amazing location in London or in Boston, and everybody just has fun as one big community. Finally, we also have the well-being support, which is our counselors on campus that will be there for you if you needed to speak with someone about your mental well-being. Maybe you're struggling to cope with the change to a new country or something else is bothering you. They would also do very, very appreciated things for us students when exam seasons approach, so that we can relax a little bit and be sure that we can rock those exams, like free yoga classes, puppy therapy, which basically means getting these really nice dogs coming into our campus and being able to spend some time with them, and all of these other type of things. So Hult will support you throughout the process to make sure that you can give the best out of you and become the best part of you. And I personally really, really experienced this hand to hand. I'll be happy to give a more specific example of this maybe during the Q&A if anyone would be interested in knowing what that experience was. So we've spoken about what makes Hult a different type of business school. And I don't know if you remember from the video that I played earlier, but one of the things that Bertil Hult, the founder of our university, was talking about was how business schools were not coping up with the change and the pace of change in the world. Meaning by the time you graduated, your knowledge was already obsolete. You were no longer prepared. And that's why our business curriculum goes beyond business, so that you can make sure that you are gaining not only business knowledge, but also developing your interpersonal skills and transferable skills and gaining a glimpse into the future so that you can be ready no matter what comes. Because as we've seen this past year, no one can ever expect what's going to happen. So in order to cater for this, how is our curriculum structured? Curriculum is structured in 3 main pillars: the world, the future, and you. And throughout all of your years at Hult, you will be developing and building upon these 3 pillars. If we go into specifics into how this looks, well, you will start, of course, by building your core. Building your core means that you gain the minimum knowledge or the basic knowledge, that foundation that you need, that any business person would have to have in order to succeed in the world of business. That is making sure that you know things like accounting or marketing. Once your foundation is solid, now you can start to major and minor, which is basically specializing, putting your focus into the business area that is of your biggest interest. And then you go farther. You go farther by continuing your education throughout your life. It is this lifelong learning, because as we've seen, things change very rapidly and you need to evolve with them. For that reason, of course, Hult offers masters that you can pursue. There's even the possibility of you to start your master before you finish your undergrad, so that you reduce your time a little bit. And as Hult alumni, as Hult graduates, you will get 1 free elective every year that you can take so that you can keep up with the changes in the world. As you move through these pillars, as you move through this curriculum, you will be, challenging your learning, like I was speaking about, working with different companies in your class assignments, developing your business ideas, and of course, all of this will culminate also into a capstone, which is a final project before your graduation. As you remember, I was talking about the Hult Founders Lab, and I mentioned that you could actually develop your business for credit, and that is because you can use the Hult Founders Lab as your capstone option. You could also be doing an internship, a thesis, or you could be doing what I think is super nice, which is the Hult Business Challenge, where every year for a full term, you will work with a team to consult for a business in the form of a competition. This year, they're working with Facebook, and last year, my team and I actually made it to the winning team of the whole competition. It's a great opportunity for you to understand different businesses, different industries, and to put your consulting knowledge and business knowledge to the test. I know a question that we get very often is, of course, what classes would I be taking actually? So as you build your core, you will have business and beyond business classes. When it comes to business, of course, management, business law, social responsibility, global strategy, accounting, principles of marketing, anything that you will need to cover to be a well-rounded professional. But you will also go beyond business, making sure that you're building upon your transferable skills, your soft skills. So things like creative problem solving, critical thinking, design thinking, emerging technology, cross-cultural communication, business communication. Those are the type of content that you can expect throughout your degree. I mentioned that you could actually specify yourself. You could do a major or a minor. Majors and minors is an American concept. So for those of you that maybe are not as aware about what they are, a major and a minor are a specialization. Let's say you would specialize yourself in a given area. A major is a bigger specialization, meaning you put more of your focus in there, and a minor will therefore be a smaller specialization. We offer 5 different majors that you can pursue, which are business analytics, entrepreneurship, finance, marketing, and management. Management is the one that I did. And we also offer minors, which are computer science, design, psychology, and any of our majors. So how would this look? What are we talking about in here? Well, this would be that you would graduate with a business and bachelor administration, a BBA, with a major in, for example, finance, and a minor in computer science. Or it could be a major in management and a minor in business analytics. It is up to you. You actually have the option of only majoring, meaning no minor, only minoring, meaning no major, or just not doing neither major nor minor, and then you would follow what we say it's general business. In all instances, you're still being awarded a BBA, so nothing to worry. Just choose the path that best suits your interests and what you want to do afterwards. It's completely up to you. So as you can see, our curriculum is quite flexible. It allows you to go to where you want, because in the end, it's all about yourself and what you want to do afterwards. And that also reflects into how flexible it is in terms of timing. As an American degree, your bachelor would last 4 years. However, many European students will transfer credits because of IB, A-levels, Spanish Bachillerato, or any other educational system, and you could actually start off your degree already with a reduced amount of time that it would take you to complete it. This is based on a one-to-one basis. The admissions committee would have to make the decision of whether you would transfer credits or not, but as a European, you can expect that most likely you would do it in 3. I mentioned earlier the summer courses, but I didn't really get into them. So this is where summer courses truthfully play a role. Summer courses give you the opportunity to study during the summer period so that you can actually take credits in advance. By taking credits in advance, it means that you actually reduce the amount of time that it would take you to graduate, because in the end, graduation is the completion of, in our case, 120 credits. So if you start off with some transfer credits and put in a couple of summers, you could be graduating in 3 years, 2 years and a half, could be 2 years, depending on how you organize yourself and the number of credits that you have. If for whatever reason you wanted to graduate at a faster rate, you know that our program would allow you to do so. If you have no race whatsoever, then I will remind everyone that university, and especially when you're studying university abroad, is not just simply about getting your BBA or whatever other degree. It's also kind of a fast crash course on adulthood, on how to become an independent person, a grown-up person. So if you reduce the amount by 2 months, maybe you're losing out on that, personal opinion. So you want to evaluate that, but at least you know that this is an option that is in there for you. We are living now times which are unprecedented. No one would expect a global pandemic to be hitting us in the 21st century, but hey, it did. And now the question is, how do we prepare for that? Because obviously, making a university decision is already hard on itself, especially more so if you're considering studying abroad. Maybe you're the first person in your family to study abroad, or maybe the first of all of your siblings, and that adds a little bit extra stress. If we need to add to that the fact that we're in a global pandemic, I can imagine how many hearts are racing right now. And we want to make that a little bit easier for you. So when it comes to Hult, we have invested full amount of resources in order to invest in a state-of-the-art technology that would allow our classes to be hybrid, meaning that people could be both taking the same class at the same time on campus and at home. And we are fully prepared to move fully online if the case demanded for it, which we are hopeful that by September, it will no longer be like that. How is this technology? Well, our classes are now equipped with AI-driven technology, which includes cameras and microphones that sense the movement of the professor in order to capture the image as the professor moves through the classroom, and the same happens with the noise, so that we only capture what the professor is saying, not any background noise that is only a distraction. It also means that there are whiteboards in which students, if they were from home, they wouldn't be seeing an image of the professor in the whiteboard, but rather directly see what is being written in the whiteboard. So we're talking here about being able to stay in the classroom while some other students are back home, either because they don't feel secure enough to go back, their countries don't allow them to travel, or they have to quarantine. Our classes are largely based on conversation, class discussion, and interaction. So we want our students to be live in all classrooms, and want everyone, no matter whether they're on campus or if they are at home, to be able to interact the same way. So we also have new TVs in every single classroom where the students who are attending the class from home can be reflected. So any interaction by their part can also be perceived in the classroom as if they were there. I personally didn't get to experience this technology since it was implemented in September and I had graduated in May, but I've heard from friends who are already there that it's working very, very well. We have a couple of YouTube videos explaining about it. If you were more interested in that, we could share. When the whole pandemic started, I was still at Hult, and we obviously had to move online. And I'm proud to say that even if all of the classes had to be on Zoom, the transition was seamlessly. We didn't lose any single second of the class. So you can be sure that your Hult experience would, of course, continue, even if another pandemic broke or something even worse came our way, which I really hope it didn't. So I hope that this at least makes you a little bit more comfortable in making your decision to study abroad with us, because you know that your experience won't be interactive, your studies will continue as usual, and our professors have done a great job in adapting to new technology, and the same goes for, of course, our students. So hopefully by now you are very excited to potentially consider Hult your next home. It was certainly a great university for me, and I hope that is the case for many of you. So you might be wondering, how can I apply? I want to start my application right now. So let's start about the application process. The application process for Hult is pretty straightforward. You will start your application online, hult.edu/apply. If you go into our website, you'll see it very, very easily. After that, we will require some documents like your transcripts, a letter of recommendation, personal statement. You will have an interview with a member of our team. And after that, the admissions team will revise your case, make a decision, and that's to be communicated to you. If you are accepted, then you will be invited to accepted student events where you can meet your future classmates, your future professors, and get even more hyped to be a future Hultian. Once that is the case, you will confirm your place, and then we are ready to welcome you on campus. I know this is a question that I tend to get quite a lot, so I'll just go ahead and answer it right now. What grade do I need to be accepted into Hult, either if I do IB, Spanish Bachillerato, A-levels, or anything else? And what I want to say is that there is not a rule to that. Our founder, Berto Hult, who you saw on the video, he suffered from dyslexia all of his life. So obviously his grades didn't really reflect the value that he had because they were a little bit poor, and everybody told him that he was not worth it. He went on to become the founder and owner of the biggest private education company in the world, EF, Education First, to this point still runs. And so when he founded this university, he had that recollection in mind, that the value, the worth of a student, of a person, of anyone, goes way beyond what's written on a transcript report. For that reason, our admissions process is holistic, meaning we will look into your grades, but we will want to evaluate you as a whole person. Because in the end, what we're trying to do is to build a culture in our campus of students that are entrepreneurial, that are international, that have passion and drive for business. It is for this reason that you will have an admissions interview, and it is for this reason that you would also have to write a personal statement so that we can see who you are beyond the grades that you had. There's always many components to what your grades are. Especially this year with the whole pandemic, it could have affected you, meaning you dropped your grades, but that doesn't mean that you're worth less. It's just that simply the situation was not the best. So, what grades do I need in order to be admitted? There is no answer given to that. We will look at you from a holistic perspective. Having top grades doesn't mean immediately that you will be accepted, because maybe the rest of yourself doesn't match the culture we're trying to build. The same way that if for whatever reason, maybe your grades were a little bit weaker, that does not mean that we would officially just reject you, because hey, maybe you were building your own business and that's why your grades dropped a little bit, or you were so focused with volunteer work and an internship that your grades dropped. There is no answer. We want to evaluate you from all of your aspects. So keep that in mind when making your application. If you are super excited to join us and you want to start actually for the next upcoming year, September 2021, then application process, you must start right now. By the end of May, we need to have received your application, as we are running now closer to the deadline. So if you are one of those that want to join us this September, please start your application even as of today. You're not compromising yourself by starting it. We'll be able to help you throughout the process to analyze better whether you will be a good fit for us and we will be a good fit for you. And if you do want to carry on, then we'll walk you through the whole process. If, however, you're still a couple of years ahead and you want to start only in September 2022, then we have a very interesting option for you, which is the early decision. The early decision application means that if you apply by November 1st, 2021 to start in September 2022, you have the option of getting both your BBA, your undergrad degree, and a master at Hult for the same price. Basically meaning you get a master at Hult after your BBA is completed at no extra tuition cost. Obviously, we're talking about a significant saving in here. So if you're interested in pursuing postgraduate education, you might want to consider doing this right now. What is the benefit on top of obviously getting a free master of starting your application so early on before arriving at university? Well, we serve our students on a first-come, first-come basis. So the earlier you start, the most attention, dedication that we can give to you and your family to put you through the process and make sure that you are secure with all of your doubts resolved. And of course, the bigger of an option that you will have to get into scholarships if that is something that you would want. So if you're considering, again, you're not compromising yourself by starting your application, you can discover more as you go. That was all that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that this helped you understand more about Hult, about our program, and I hope that my experience helped illustrate a little bit more those concepts that in many occasions we hear universities explain, but it's never the same until you leave them, because it's really hard to picture them. As I've mentioned, we're super happy to take any questions right now, happy to share my experience in more detail if there's any particular question about that. And as I mentioned earlier, this session is being recorded, so you can watch it again, share it with your friends, and we will have availability next week to meet with you on a one-to-one basis if you want to have a more personal conversation. So let me see if we have questions. So we have one. What campus do you like, or what have you liked most about university teaching approach? So we have 5 campuses, as I've mentioned. I've only been to the London and the Shanghai one. The London campus has been my home, so obviously I am biased to say that I really like that campus, and of course I really like London as well. The Shanghai campus is very different from the London one, but also amazing. So it's hard to judge. And I haven't been to the Dubai one, the San Francisco one, or the Boston one. Nonetheless, I have seen a live video about the Boston campus, and it really surprised me. I didn't know it was that amazing. So you might want to check that out too. We have a lot of videos on YouTube that you can check about our campuses and everything. So feel free to do that. I guess for now, I will have to say London is my favorite one, but it's more of an emotional reason. And then what have you liked most about our university teaching approach? Certainly the practicality of it. I've always been, what I found about the Spanish system, I did bachillerato, was that it is very, very heavy in memorizing. And in many cases, we learn things, or at least in my case, without really knowing why we were learning that, like how does this apply? So when I was seeking the type of learning that would be more based on truthfully knowing why I'm learning something and actually putting it into practice. So certainly that practicality of getting the class knowledge and putting it into group work is what really, really attracted me about Hult. I think it's our trademark of why Hult is a different business school, and that was my favorite thing. Do we have all those clubs and societies in London? Yes. So let me go back to the slide in case that helps. All of these clubs are just from the London campus this particular year. Clubs come and go every term depending on how they run. They're fully run on students. The students do it all. So this year we have all of this listing here. We have dance, debate, extravaganza. Basically that's extravagant things like amazing parties and amazing trips. So if there's something that you like, hey, it's there. We have consulting club, MUN. I know a lot of students do MUN. I particularly did when I was in school. So all of this club, yes, all of those are in London. I do not have the list of the clubs that are in Boston, but I know many of these clubs kind of tend to repeat themselves. So I know that Boston also has a podcast. They also have a newspaper. I am sure they have every single sports team. They do have fashion, for example, women in business. So this is just the list for London. As I've mentioned, you can start your own club if you want it. So if you wanted to have a chess club or Chinese club, law society, whatever it is that you want, you can start your own. But yes, all of these clubs present as of today, right now in our London campus, and they organize a lot of events. They get even more companies to come into campus beyond those that the professors bring, especially the consulting club, HMCC, that you see on the third column. I was the president of one last year, and it was really nice. And basically what we did is every term, we will bring in a client, which will be a real business. We worked with EY, Mercer, different startups, and they will bring us a case, something that they need help with, and then people in teams will work to produce the best answer that the best solution, for them. And it's a lot of fun, guys. Like clubs and societies was my life. It was the best thing ever. You get to learn so much. It's kind of like owning and running your own business. Like you're responsible for it. So you need to make it work. You need to know what the students that are members of the club want so that you can bring in the events or the resources that they want. It's a lot of fun. So I'll just leave up the list in there so that you can check while I answer. Can you tell us a little bit more on accreditations and Hult experience as an international level? So our accreditations are awarded by international bodies. As I've mentioned before, we have a triple accreditation. Getting that triple accreditation is actually not that easy. That's why only 1% of business schools in the world own the 3 of them. And they are proof about our rigorous academic and experiential learning and teaching. I believe in our website we have more information about them. I personally don't know too much in detail exactly what each accreditation entails, but I just know that they really tell us apart, and it has been a great journey for Hult as a university in order to get to the level in which they could get the 3 of them. And now we are ahead of the game because of that. How do scholarships work, and do they help with accommodation? So I believe I have a slide on scholarships, but in the meantime, I'll just start. So we have various types of scholarships. The main ones, we call them the merit-based and the need-based scholarships. Here we have them. Merit-based scholarships aim to reward the students for their achievements. Need-based scholarships need to have proof of a financial need to be awarded. In order to start with your scholarship process, you must have been accepted into the university already. And applying to them is really easy. You will just simply have to write an essay answering a question about a topic that we will give you. There's a couple of topics that you will have to choose from. You will write an essay. And in the case of the need-based scholarships, on top of the essay, you would also have to do a declaration of finances along with your parents if they will help you with your tuition. In order to see if there's truthfully a financial need behind that. Once you've completed that, the scholarship committee will revise all of that and decide how much, if any, scholarships you're receiving. Once you've received your scholarships, that is for you until the end of your time with us. Every single year, you will receive the same amount. What I'm trying to say is, imagine you are awarded 10,000 in scholarships, every year you will get 10,000. It's not 10,000 for the whole thing. So you can multiply that by the amount of years you will spend with us so that you can know exactly the total amount. These scholarships only go towards tuition fees. For accommodation, we personally as a university don't have scholarships that cover that. We could advise that maybe you look into third-party scholarships, bank loans, student grants, or something of the like that might cover. I know certain countries, I think Norway, for example, do have government programs that pay for your accommodation in a third country if you pursue education. I'm not sure if that is the case of Spain, but it would be something interesting to look into. But our scholarships only go towards the tuition fees and not accommodation. Talking about accommodation, another question that I know we get quite often, I think we still have time to answer that, is do we offer accommodation at all? And the answer is, it depends. On the Boston campus, we have an amazing student accommodation, very recently built. I believe it was opened in August 2019, so we're talking about less than 2 years since they opened, and it is an amazing, amazing building. All of the freshers, so first-year students, must stay in the Hult house. That's how we call our student accommodation. There is a gym, there's shared kitchens, you can share your room or have your own apartment within it. There's a lot of living spaces, cafeteria. There's many, many amenities within the student accommodation, and it's generally just across the road from the campus. So you know that you will basically be living on site. So Boston, yes, you can check it out. It's called the Hult House. Maybe let me just write it in here. Boston accommodation, Hult House. But then for London, sorry, I'm typing there. For London, we don't own our own accommodation. There are many student accommodations in London overall, but there's at least 3 or 4 student accommodations that I can think of that are 5-minute walking distance from campus, which are the ones we tend to suggest because of the convenience of living so near to campus. The main one is Chapter Aldgate. That is where a lot of our first-year students actually stay when they are in London. That is where I personally lived for my first 2 years. And again, it was fantastic. Same concept as the Hult House. You have different types of rooms. So depending on whether you want to share or not, you can choose. There is a gym on site, study space on the 17th floor with these amazing views of London. There is a cinema room. There's like a student lounge for you to just have fun with your friends. They organize a lot of events as well. It is a lot of fun. And it's generally 30 seconds door to door because we have the Hult building right behind it without even going to the street. And that is Chapter Aldgate. So we can help anyone on the process of finding accommodation. Students, they go various ways, from the student accommodations that we do recommend on the area to having their own living space, maybe on a flat, living with relatives, living farther away from campus within London. It's completely up to you in Boston. In London, in Boston, we offer you an amazing Hult house that I wish I had gone to. I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had gone to because they were a lot of fun. Believe we have more questions. So speaking more languages will give you more points to be admitted. How can we prove that we speak more languages? So speaking more languages proves that you're an international student. And that is the type of student that we like, is the type of student that Hult is made of. So definitely speaking more languages will prove that you have that quality in you, which is certainly a plus in your admissions process. How do you prove that you speak more languages? Well, when it comes to English, since I'm guessing it's probably not your first, it's not your mother tongue, you actually have to prove it with an English certification because you will have to get it for the admissions process unless you are doing IB or some other exceptions, and most likely you will need it for your student visa, which might be an interesting question to answer afterwards about the student visa. For the rest of languages, we won't request that you prove that you speak them. We believe that what you tell us is true. And to be honest, students that are international, it shows off on conversations. So if for whatever reason you did not speak that many languages, but you told us you do, eventually it would show off that your story is not really congruent. But we won't request you that you prove anything other than English. So I mentioned visa. Let me very briefly speak about it because we still have a little bit of time, and I think it's an interesting point now that Brexit has taken place. Because of Brexit now, any European that is not British or has the right to live in the UK, maybe because he was already living in the UK before Brexit happened, will require a student visa. This student visa is pretty straightforward. We have a visa team that will help you throughout all of the process in getting your visa. But mainly one thing to take into account is that you would actually need to prove your English. So linking to the other point, again, the earlier you start your application, the earlier you get your acceptance, the earlier you get your confirmation, the earlier that you can start your visa process. A visa process being a government-regulated affair, we do not have the control over how long the process could take. So always doing it with a little bit more time is better than doing it with a little bit worse. So keep that in mind, especially if you're considering starting Hult in 2021, so this September, because we will have to get going with the visa process. So we gotta move fast to make sure that you can join us on campus this fall. Let me see, I believe we have something else. Perfect. So I don't think we have more questions. It was really nice speaking to all of you. I really hope that all of this helped you understand a little bit more about what Hult is, that you might be considering studying abroad. We know that the process is not as easy as when you want to study in your home country, and the family needs to be emotionally, financially, in many ways involved. We acknowledge that. We know that deciding on university is hard, so we want to help you throughout all of that process. For that reason, if you have any more questions or you want to have a one-to-one conversation, know that you can reach us through the booking system to meet with us next week. You can also follow us on Instagram or just contact us directly through our website. We'll be super happy to help you and your family transition and move through this process in order to evaluate whether studying abroad, studying business, studying at Hult is the right thing for you. You won't ever be left alone in the process. Since you start your application until you make it to campus, having moved through scholarships and the visa process in between will be there for you. So please keep that in mind. Actually, we have a last question, so let's go over it. Talking about English, is it necessary the Cambridge certificate one? No, it's not necessarily the Cambridge certificate one. We accept multiple ones, like for example, the IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge, I believe Trinity College exams as well. So we can have a more personal conversation about that. But no, we would require though that it is at least B2 level. But if it's over B2 level, there's many examinations that we will accept. With that, I think, unless there is any final question, we will call it a day. We want to give you back your Saturday morning. Again, I hope that this helped you with imagining yourself in university. We know the decision is very tough. As I've mentioned, I am a Hult alumni. My name is Christina. You can reach me out on my phone or my email, and you can get in touch with us through our website as well. We'll be very happy to guide you through all of the process, and hopefully we'd love to see you become a Hultian. Thank you so much for joining us today, and remember that you can book a call with us next week.